At the risk of confusing the YouTube algorithm with this video, I wanted to come on here and record my thoughts about the changes announced today, June 27, 2024, by the Insight Timer CEO, Christopher Plowman. Just by way of background, I am a teacher on the Insight Timer app, and I also teach other people how to become successful teachers on the Insight Timer app. So I have several videos on my channel about this, and I run a couple of courses on this topic. So it seemed important for me to share my initial thoughts about this statement that the CEO, Mr. Plowman, released today. This morning at around, I don't know what it was, 9 o'clock Paris time, I saw an email from Mr. Plowman, and I was like, I better read this. And the email was very brief and linked to a post on LinkedIn, which I will now go to and show you exactly what he said. So here I am over on LinkedIn at Mr. Plowman's post. He starts by saying that he has been the CEO of Insight Timer for almost 10 years, which is pretty incredible in this day and age. To stay with a tech company for that long as CEO is pretty impressive. He also intimates that there have been some financial problems, perhaps, that have led him and his team to making these adjustments to how teachers are paid for teaching on Insight Timer. And before I say anything else, I want to be very clear about something, that whatever the impact is on how this works for teachers, it's not up to Insight Timer's team. It's up to me and it's up to you. The impact is not based on what someone else does. It's based on what you and I do. So I don't feel the least bit powerless or anything in this situation. A couple of things I'm not totally thrilled with, but again, it's not up to them to decide what my fate is or your fate is. It's up to us. The next paragraph, I admit, is a little bit confusing to me. He says that rather than replacing teachers with AI, we intend to use AI in the background to enhance a teacher's capacity to create long-lasting interpersonal relationships with students. We're calling it Ambient Intelligence. Not really understanding what that means at all. I was relieved to find out that I wasn't going to be replaced by AI, but the rest, I didn't understand what that meant. The next part of his statement talks about a new revenue opportunity for teachers called Insight Timer Retreats. And I understand from reading this part that this is something that a lot of teachers want to be able to offer directly to their followers and students on the app. So apparently this is part of the new plan. So if an event or a seminar or something that a teacher is hosting is pushed out to people through the Insight Timer app and people enroll, then Insight Timer will take 20% commission on each sale that is made. Now, for me, it was a little bit confusing because I clicked on this link that says, click here to get started today. And I was taken to a fairly lengthy survey, and it wasn't always clear to me exactly what to choose on the questions. So at the end of it, I asked them what certain terms meant. So they were talking about quote unquote offline seminars. So I didn't know if that actually meant only in-person things, because, for example, I have done trainings like coach trainings virtually using Zoom, and I had been considering doing some virtual retreats, but it wasn't clear to me if that would fall into this category or if they were literally only talking about things that happen 100% in person. So that was a bit confusing to me. On the plus side, it sounds like these retreats can cover everything from relatively inexpensive all the way up to premium pricing. So that's interesting. He then mentioned something called direct to teachers subscriptions. Now, this is interesting because, of course, the subscription model is nothing new. Membership's nothing new. There's things like Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee and all kinds of things that we can set up for a membership, especially an inexpensive membership. But this is seemingly going to encompass inexpensive memberships all the way up to much more premium offerings. He mentions too that this is going to take some time to develop and he wants our input. So I once again went to the forum that is linked there and shared my thoughts and questions. In the scheme of things, though, this one seems very, very interesting as a possibility for even more recurring revenue that is done in a way that is really suited to our individual strengths. And so this option I'm very excited about. What I am not excited about at all is this first change to teacher pay. I am not happy with the fact that we are no longer going to be paid for answering student questions in our courses on the app. It's hard for me to express how much it has meant to me to connect with people inside my courses in that way and engage in meaningful dialogue with them, knowing that Insight Timer values that interaction enough to pay me. And I was earning around $17 to $20 per response, and it made up a significant portion of my income. I'll show you in just a second. So what they are proposing is that for a certain percentage of teachers, I am hoping I fall in this group. I'm not really sure. I haven't gotten anything to that effect yet. They are going to try to offset the loss by using some money that they have in an assistance fund for the next 3 months, I believe it is, to make up that shortfall. So I'm hoping that I fall into that category because I went back and looked at some of my recent pay statements, and between 25 to 40 or 45% of my income every month has come from these student replies. Here is an example of what I'm talking about in terms of getting paid for these classroom replies. This is my statement for May of this year. And as you can see, I made close to $500 from the plays of my courses, but I made over $300 from engaging with students in my courses. So that's a significant portion of this total of $828.96. I'm really not sure how that assistance fund is going to work. I guess I will find out whether I'm included in there or not. The reason given for this change is a little bit iffy to me. I didn't quite believe what he was saying, which was in the statement. He says that they were struggling with people who were doing this fraudulently. So basically, people were enrolling in each other's courses and copying and pasting responses and things like that. And so it wasn't genuine. It seems like maybe they could just have a really strict policy about that. They did say in the statement that they've gotten rid of as many of those people as possible from the app so that they weren't, skewing this whole thing. But I don't know. I couldn't help but think that maybe they just didn't feel it was a good use of their money to pay teachers for that. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it, but the explanation didn't quite add up to me. The final change that he mentions is something called a return rate bonus. This is also a little bit questionable to me, and I'll explain why in a moment. So basically, if you have a course or a track that people come back to and listen to several times, you can receive some sort of bonus. And it says here, where is that? Right. It says teachers with tracks that drive users back to our app at higher than average return rates will receive monthly bonuses in their income statements. The reason why I'm not crazy about this, and I was having a discussion with another Insight Timer teacher today about this, is that I don't necessarily want people to come and listen to the same track or course from me over and over and over again. I want them to be shown my latest course and have them listen to that, get what they can from it, whatever transformation or insights they can receive from that, and then move on. It seems to be a little bit self-defeating in a way if you're trying to then create something that you think people will want to listen to over and over and over again. I just don't really like that idea very much. I'm trying to remain open-minded about this particular aspect of the new pay structure. But for me personally, ever since I became a coach back in 2016, my aim has not been to have people spending years working with me. It's more like, let's spend a little time together. You can get what you need and move on, not getting stuck in sort of this endless loop of more and more coaching needed and more this and more that. That just goes against my personal philosophy, if you will, about how this kind of thing should work. So again, trying to remain open-minded, but really I'll just have to see how that one plays out. I fully intend to stay with Insight Timer. I'm going to continue producing and publishing courses for the app. I'm working on some right now that I will submit for review next month. And I will continue to support the people who have joined my Insight Timer Secrets online course and my other Insight Timer related programs. I'll make adjustments to them as I go forward. But again, I want to say that whatever the impact is, it's not up to Insight Timer to decide that. It's me who gets to decide. It's you who gets to decide what we do with what happens. And so I'm interested in whatever opportunities might arise because of these changes. I'm also open to other ideas that may occur to me along the way, things that might work better for me. I don't know. So time will tell how this plays out, and I will certainly keep you informed with anything new that I learn. See you later. Bye.